Welcome back to the AM show. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, as you know, President Akufo-Addo will later today meet journalists to account for his stewardship after 3 years in office. The first encounter will be the third since his assumption of power as the fifth president of the Fourth Republic. Now, the president is expected to speak about the performance of his government in areas of the economy, governance, health, education, security, and many others, and what he is doing to turn around the fortunes of the country. Ahead of that, we'll have a conversation with Zakaria Musah. He's a lawyer and lecturer at the Ghana Institute of Journalism. He'll be joining us shortly. Also joining us will be Kweku Boateng, who is also a lecturer at NAFTI. Now, Mr. Boateng's outfit did an analysis on how well journalists performed at the last event. We'll also be hearing from government communicators on modalities and formalities for this event. What we want to zoom in immediately is get your views though. What question would you like the president to answer? So send us a WhatsApp message on 0540-109009. The number is at the bottom of your screen. You can also call us on 0302-211-691 or 2. How about we take the phone lines right now? The phone in right now. Yes, let's do that. 0302-211-691 or 2. 0302-211-691 or 2. That's the phone number. The phone lines are open. You can call us and tell us what you think. Go on our social media handles as well. You can go on the JoyNews Facebook page. You can go on the JoyNews Twitter handle. We'll put that on the bottom of your screen so you can look at that. You can also go on my Facebook page, Daniel Daze, at I am Daniel Daze, on Twitter and Instagram as well. And you can leave a comment. I have a few posts out there. You can leave a comment. We'll put it on the screen. We'll read your comments. We want you to interview the presidents, really. So what questions do you have? What are the issues that matter to you? Now, it's interesting because there are two recent surveys that came out. The Afrobarometer survey just came and asked 2,400 Ghanaians different questions relating to, okay, I'll tell you more about that. But William is from Dodi. Is it Papase or Papase? Dodi Papase. Yes, William is on the line from Dodi Papase. Good morning, William.
Hello, good morning.
William, tell us your question. What question do you want to ask?
I would like you to ask the president when is he going to pay us our arrest?
Pay who?
Hello?
Yeah, pay who the arrest? Are you a teacher or you are?
Yes, I'm a teacher. Okay. So I would like you to ask the president when is he going to pay us our arrest? Okay,
William, how many months are you owed?
Pardon?
For how many months are you owed?
I started the work in 2030, so from 2030 up to this date, our arrests are now being paid.
2013 to 2019?
Yes.
I thought that the finance ministry started paying in 2017. So are you saying that you have not received the salary since you became?
No, we have not been received. We did not receive our arrest. Especially as I'm speaking to you, I didn't receive my arrest.
William, thank you very much for joining us with your question.
Thank you.
Jamal is on the line from Wa. Good morning, Jamal. Jamal, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us on the AM show. What question do you have for the president?
The question I have for the president goes to the sports in the region. Mm-hmm. We have the Youth Resource Center here. As I'm talking to you, it was promised it was going to be finished June this year. The sports minister came, extended it to September. And as I'm speaking to you, it hasn't gotten to 50% completion. But the sports minister told all Ghanaians that work has been progressing and it's 76%. So I want to ask the president whether he's aware the Youth Resource Center in Wa hasn't gotten to 50%.
Okay, when you say 50%, Jamal, what exactly has been done?
As I'm speaking to you, as a stadium, there are certain things you see in the fall and you know work has progressed. As I'm speaking to you, even the stands hasn't been completed, talk less the fall itself.
I want you to do us a favor, Jamal. Take pictures if you can, put it on our Facebook post, send it to us on WhatsApp so that we can properly visualize what you're talking about. But thank you very much.
I'm going to do that right away.
That's super. Thank you very, very much. Jamal called from Wa. If you are also in Wa, You know the state of the Youth Resource Center. You have pictures of it. Go on our Facebook page, JoyNews on TV. JoyNews, that's the Facebook page. At JoyNews on TV on our Twitter, or send a WhatsApp message. Tell us what is the state of the Youth Resource Center at WA, 76% or 50%. Morgan is on the line from Sunyani. Good morning, Morgan. Do I have Morgan on the line from Sunyani? Looks like I'm finding it difficult hearing him, but I was telling you earlier about the Afrobarometer survey. 53% of Ghanaians believe that the nation is more corrupt in the past 12 months. That's probably one of the issues that you can expect the president to address. Samuel is on the line from Nkoforidia, though. Good morning, Samuel.
Yes, sir.
Great. Samuel, what's your question?
Hello, yeah, good morning, sir.
Yes. You're on air, Samuel. Let's hear you. What's your question?
Okay. Yes, my question is this. I want to find out why is the government not maintaining our rules? If they are not creating new rules, why are they not maintaining the old rules? And there are a lot of potholes, and these potholes keep on increasing day by day. And my second question is this. Why or what is preventing the government from turning our prison service to like a very good venture? They can use these prisoners to do more farming that countries are doing. And out of these farming activities, they can even use the proceeds from these farming activities to take care of free senior high school without putting much pressure on the government coffers.
Someone, so it looks like you need to have breakfast with the president.
Sorry?
So I said it looks like you need to have breakfast with the president and lay out some of these plans very well. But thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, Samuel. Moment is on the other line from Takrade. Good morning, Moment. Thanks for joining us. What's your question?
Good morning. Please, I want you to ask the president.
Moment, I'm listening.
Oh, please, I want you to ask the president about the incident that happened at Iowa. The short commission that he said. They brought him the records. They gave him everything about the incident. But he decided to put the deaf ears to the commission. So I want to know, is it that the commission didn't do their work well? Or he asked something about it that he is hiding from the nation? Thank you.
Moment, I wish you could stay with us for a second, because we know that the government put out a white paper, accepted some of the recommendations, rejected some of them. So what specifically did you expect?
Like some of the guys who were...
It looks like I lost Moment there from Takrade. Thanks anyway for calling. Yendi is where we go next. Moses is on the line. Good morning, Moses from Yendi.
Yeah, good morning.
Great. Which part of Yendi are you in? It's been a while since I went there.
I'm in Balogu.
Balogu?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I went to Wapuli during Christmas of 2013. It was a great place. Let's hear you, though. What's your question?
My question is that I would have asked the president, if I had got a chance, that why is it that he's claiming he has established free education for senior high? Meanwhile, the basic education is dying. No furniture, no books, nothing is out there. So why is it that he's doing that and he's claiming that is it that he wants those who come from there to be people who are dunderhead, who don't know anything before they get to secondary school, or what is his plan? Why is it that instead of concentrating on the basic level, he's rather going to concentrate on senior high?
That's a loaded question. Thank you very much, Moses, for calling us from Yendi. On the other line is Wise. Wise, where are you calling us from?
Yeah, good morning. Calling from Avara, Nabota in Afghana.
Super. Let's hear you.
Yeah, please, I want to ask the president about the 3 study girls missing. Are we down with the issue about they are missing? What are we going to do? What we don't know, after now we are not know, so I want to know more about the study girls.
All right. So the 3 missing Takrade girls.
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you very much. David is on the line from Suhum. David. David.
Hello, yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good, and you?
I'm great. I'm blessed. Let's hear your question.
Okay. My question is that I would like to ask the president. You know, he has so much interest in senior higher education, but at the basic level, education is deteriorating at a very fast rate. What is he doing about that?
Thank you very much, David. Bawa is on the line. My producer says I should say you're calling from Wa.
Yes.
What's your question?
Bawa is on the line. Yes. My producer says I should say you're calling from Wa. Please, I wanted to know. Hello?
Bawa, you're on there.
My
I wish
name
you
is
could
Bawa.
turn off the TV next to you.
My name is Bawa. I wanted to know why is it that the senior minister is still at post.
Is Bauer on the line? We lost Bauer, but I think he said he wanted to know why the senior minister is still at post. Interesting issue is on most of the front pages this morning. Elom is on the line from Ho. Good morning, Elom.
A brother who stole a boat is at the president.
Is Elom on the line?
Yeah, Elom on the line.
Elom, let's hear your question.
Yeah, please, I want you to ask the president, how is he going to do our airport in Hope? Our airport in Hope.
What about it? What does the airport need? If you can educate us. Elom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll shed some more light on the question. Is it the airport needs completion? Do you need refurbishment? What's the challenge?
We don't know what is going on, so I want to know.
I want to know what has happened. The airport was started under the former administration. Is it that work has halted?
We were told that it was completed. We were told that it was completed, and up to today, we don't know what is happening. Whether they start operating or not, we don't know.
So you're asking about operations, when they're going to start operations?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Elon, for calling. Benjamin is on the line from Sunyai. Is this Benjamin who tried calling earlier?
Yes.
Great to have you back, Benjamin. Let's hear your question.
Yeah, my question is that why is it that NEIP, which is supposed to serve what do you call it, young men and women coming up with entrepreneurial ideas, is only concentrated in Accra, when we've not been able to establish it in a regional center for everyone to access it at the regional level, rather than going to Accra alone? Why has it become so? Again, I want to find out, since the last term of President Kufuor, there was this idea of constructing 20 kilometers of road in every district. I want to know if the president can revisit that particular idea so that at least by the 4 years tenure of every government, we will have about 80 kilometers of road constructed in every district, rather than concentrating in a few areas while others are left there and then unattended to. These are the challenges that I believe should be addressed, and I want the president to be particular on that particular issue. To answer that one, so that those of us living in other areas where there isn't even a single yard of road, a kilometer stretch of it, will also enjoy what? Road. That is what I want to find out from the
Benjamin,
president.
very important questions there. Thank you very much for drawing our attention to it. Kweku Boche is a lecturer at NAFTI, the National Film and Television Institute, and he joins us via Skype. Now, Mr. Boche's outfit did an analysis on how well journalists performed at the last event. He's here to tell us what he thinks. Mr. Boche, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's begin really with this analysis that you do. What's your expectation of a journalist when he's going there?
Thanks very much. So you realize that this type of questioning is not something that is very common. It's not the usual thing journalists do during their routine interviews. In that here you have one chance to ask a question, which is different from the normal interviews that you do, that you have. You can ask multiple questions. So you have the luxury to even bring in icebreakers, which are not necessarily questions, but things you do to make your interviewee feel relaxed. But here, you only have one chance. And you are talking to the number one gentleman on the land, the most important, the most powerful person on the land. So it is very important that the journalist is equipped with the techniques to ask one question that will make maximum impact. And so we decided to engage in this project because since it started, members of the public have been, talking that the journalists have not been asking the right question. So we decided that, okay, so what is the right question? And we came out with our indicators. And so since then, we've been doing the coding and we've been grading journalists based on the questions that. And so when you look at our code, we look at issues such as three main issues, the nature of the question. So as a journalist, you can ask a question that is very important, but you ask it poorly. For instance, you ask too many questions in one question. That is, a compound sort of question. And journalists know that politicians will always dodge and take the easiest. So you go with one question, you make it simple enough, and you make it punchy. When we say punchy, we are talking about you using your background and research to ensure that the politician or the president has no other means of dodging the question. A punchy question also means that you have your stats and your research, and you are able to say to the president that based on the statistics available, he may have against his own will. So these are the stuff or under the nature of question. Then the impact of your question. Who is affected by the question? Is your question affected by people in just your environment, community, or it's a national issue that a lot of people are affected? And I'm sure we can list a lot of issues and say have a wider range of impacts. So, and then we come to specificity. How specific is your question? I was listening to some of your callers, and you realize that they are not journalists. So some of their questions are very odd. What is the status of the health minister? Why is the health minister opposed? I mean, you are not specific enough, so we don't know exactly what you want to achieve with that question. And when you ask a politician this, you throw the ball into his court, and he can just dance around till tomorrow. And so these are the basic things, the three basic things we look out for, and we have a code and a score for each of the issues that we look at.
Mr. Boateng, let's look at the impact of the entire event. Now, you look a lot at the questions that come, considering the answers as well. What do you expect this event to achieve?
Yeah, sure. We are basing our research on questions because we know very well that a good question is most likely to elicit a very good reply. And that's what I'm talking about. Your question is very general. I can cite examples. For the last year, we had questions such as, Mr. President, I want you to give me your assessment performance of your MPs with respect to fisheries, the fisheries ministry. We don't know exactly what it wants. So the politician will play into his court. So he will just talk about things that will be to his advantage. So if you have been very specific, what specific issues about fisheries? What are the statistics you use? In this case, you are more likely to elicit a better answer. So if we are looking at the answers, we should first look at the type of question. The type of question would most likely determine the type of answer that you get.
Okay, but that my question still holds that what impact do you expect this media encounter to have when it comes to the governance that we are receiving from this administration? Okay,
of course, eyes are eyes and ears of the public. And so when there's such an opportunity, it gives the executive the opportunity to know the things that are on the mind, because they know that the journalists are the president can be everywhere. And so when the journalists come and ask questions, we give the president the chance to know that, well, this is a good gauge. These are the things that are on the mind of the president, which is why it is expected to. If it's not done well, and journalists can ask personal questions and questions that majority of the people do not care about, then it's giving the impression that probably these are the issues that people care about. So in this sense, we also want the executives, the president, to give journalists the opportunity to ask questions. Last year, we experienced something that was not too good. The president almost didn't do a speech and didn't give journalists the chance to ask questions. And so for journalists to do their job, they should be able to have the chance to ask questions so the president will answer those questions. Other than that, if the president takes it to another state of nation address, then the impact is not being felt.
So, Boateng, hold on just a moment for us. We've been joined as well by Zakaria Musah. He's a lawyer and a lecturer at the Ghana Institute of Journalism. Mr. Tanko.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So last year, and I'll take it from what Mr. Boateng was talking about. The last time we had this encounter, one of my colleague journalists said that this is not just an opportunity to ask questions and get answers. This is a chance to get the presidents to think deeply about some national issues. What do you think is the real import of today?
Well, I think when you look at these encounters, I mean, one of the hallmarks of these encounters is just the issue about democracy being more of an engagement between the governed and the governors. So the journalist, because of the privileged position he or she has, is supposed to be the conduit between those we have given the mandate to and the people who have given that mandate. So by and large, when you stand there as a journalist, you're really not asking the questions for yourself. You are asking the questions for almost everybody who you are the eyes and ears of. And so that is why before you go into these encounters as a journalist, you need to do proper research. And the research is not just about what I want to ask, but you also need to gauge the public sentiment. So what are the issues that are trending? What are the issues that people think are the bread and butter issues? Those are the issues you have to then have to take those issues and look at what the people are talking about and use your journalistic background and professional experience to ask the question in the way that would elicit the sort of responses that people would want to hear from the president. And that is what, if you look at the past encounters that we have had, people have had cause to raise concerns about it looks like the preparation going into these encounters has not been really forthcoming. So you realize that people are asking questions, but some of the questions they are asking are not the questions the ordinary people are really worried about. So people go and ask questions. So the issue of relevance is very important here. But these encounters are very crucial because it makes people know what angle, in terms of the issues that people are talking about, what is the president's take on those issues? Is the president really feeling the way the people are also feeling? Is he looking at it from the perspective that people are looking at it from? If not, why not? But that is why I'm sure we will come back to that when we go along. That is why some of these encounters, there has to be an opportunity for people to do a follow-up. And I always say that you might go in there with a prepared question, but when you sit back and you realize that, oh, the president has answered a question from somebody, and that person may not have the opportunity to do a follow-up. But that is a very crucial question that needs to be pushed further. You could really look at it and say, well, maybe I need to take this on, and then take it from there.
I remember one of Mr. John Mahama's last news conferences like this. Kojo Yankson asked a question, and he was answered, and Evans Mensah came and simply did a follow-up too.
Yeah, those are the killers. Those are the ones, because these are the questions that the president probably hasn't had a dress rehearsal on. These are the questions that you won't get a cosmetic answer. You won't get a prepared answer. This is where the person would have to now demonstrate on his feet whether he has a grasp of the issue at stake. And these are the ones that, and for the media, because we like the headline news and all, these are the ones that will give you the headlines. But unfortunately, we don't seem to be pushing that angle.
Let me come with that thoughts to Mr. Boateng. Let's compare the scale of the question versus its relevance. Now, so you talked, for instance, about the nature, the research, the impact, how specific the question is, but what credence or importance should we place in what listeners want or what the public wants to hear?
Okay, so when we talk about the impact of the question, it's very critical. For instance, the question you're asking, does it affect you and your wife, or it affects almost everybody? We will agree that there are some questions about economy, education, health, very, very important. These are questions that, for instance, as a president, how many jobs have you been able to create? Because job creation is a very important issue. And when we talk about job creation, it affects almost everybody. There was a time a journalist came and asked a question about the road in front of his area. I mean, this is a question that you would think that is important, but it's important to you're advocating for your area where you stay. So assume you were not staying there, what would have happened to the people there? So we are talking about impact of the question. And impact of the question, we look at the national level, regional level, and then within the community. And each one has a mark that it will score. Of course, if your question affects a lot of people, it should score more than a question that affects, say, just a group of people within community. Because you are talking to the president. It's not the assemblyman, it's not even the MP, and your question to elicit the widest impact as much as possible. So these are some of the things we look at. And we believe that when your question has wide impact, everybody's affected and nobody will feel like, oh, he was just asking questions. We don't even know what was going through his head when he was asking questions. Of course, these questions should be grounded in specificity. Because the ordinary person, I mean, you've been talking to them. You see, when they ask the question, you get to know the issues on their mind, but they are not journalists, so they can't be specific. So if somebody asks a question, why is the health minister up? At least you know that particular issue, you, the journalist, know the specifics. So you, a journalist, cannot ask why is the health minister. You will give the president the specific issue, the circumstances, and then come up with your question. So that's the background. So it's good to listen to the public to gauge the general issues on the mind, but you are better at asking the question than the public.
I see Mr. Tanko nodding there, and I'm going to come to him for his thoughts on that one. And Mr. Boateng made a reference to this one. He's made a reference twice. I think the question was, why is the senior minister still at post? Of course, this is in relation to this impasse with the Auditor General, where the Auditor General has issued a $1 million surcharge against his office for that Kroll & Associates contract. But let's take your thoughts on that, that junction between what the public wants and, asking a generally good question.
Yeah, so the most important thing about this issue about looking at the mood in the country and trying to reflect that in your questioning with your professional expertise is crucial, because all over the world, the handlers of presidents, they look at the situation. And sometimes some of these encounters, the timing is very strategic. And people would argue that when you look at this particular one, the handlers have been very strategic in the sense that whether you like it or not, this government, within this short period of time, is under some sort of pressure. The teachers' strike, issues about the referendum and all those things. So when you call this sort of encounter, it's an opportunity for you to move the discourse away from those sort of pressure. That is what strategically presidential handlers should do. So if you don't let your questioning reflect the mood, what you would end up doing is that you would play into the hands of the presidential handlers, because that is exactly what they didn't want. They want to move away from that discourse and set the agenda. So what you do is that you also make sure that, yes, you've called this for strategic reasons, but we are not going to move away from what the people are talking about. We will still ask you questions like that. So that question that they want to move away from, that spotlight that they want to move away from, that spotlight will still be on. But this time on, it would be on specifically directly, and the president would have no choice than to deal with them directly.
We've been joined on the phone lines by the Executive Director for the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleimana Brahima. Mr. Brahima, for a journalist in Ghana, it's Christmas, isn't it? Do I have Mr. Brahima on the phone lines?
Hello.
Great. I was just using the expression, it's Christmas for a journalist in Ghana, talking about how important this moment is for us to go to the president and put questions directly to him. How important is it?
Well, I think it's a really, really important event. It is an opportunity for journalists to serve their audience. Not everyone would get the opportunity to interact with the president, and so the Ghanaian people are dependent on the journalists to ask the president the questions on their minds. And to that extent, I think that it is a great thing. We need to commend the president for offering to have journalists engage with him. I think it's a good practice, and going forward, it is something that I believe we need to consolidate. I think even if it's possible, it should be something that would be done more than once in a year, as we currently have it. So, yeah, we look forward to a great event.
Mr. Brahima, what do you expect to walk away with at 1 p.m. today? What do you expect to hear?
Well, I must say that in the last edition, we had concerns with the format, and also the fact that it was literally turned into another State of the Nation's address. I'm hoping that this time around it will be different. The president or the organizers would allow for enough time for journalists to do what they have to do, because I believe the president has always had the opportunity to interact with journalists, whether on his tour or during his usual things. And so on format, I think that is what I would say. Apart from that, I think we've always had concerns about the quality of the questions that are often filed. I'm just hoping that this time around, our colleagues would do in-depth research, analysis, and decide before they even go there what question they are going to put out there, and also to make sure that even if their questions happen to be asked by earlier colleagues who speak earlier, they wouldn't go repeat the same questions. There have been occasions where you realize that people are just there to ask leading questions or questions that provide PR opportunity for the president to tout his credentials and his achievements and so on and so forth. I look forward to questions on some of the critical areas, the economy, roads. I think it's a big thing for many people now. And talking about the economy, the banking sector, the last time I read, some 15 billion or so have been approved to deal with the banking sector issue. And the question is, if this money could be available, why didn't we use it to save the banks that have been collapsed and the jobs that have been lost and so on and so forth? I think education is still critical, even though everyone would want to limit matters of education to free SHS. I think that it goes beyond that. The free SHS policy, good as it is, has several implications. Where are the infrastructure to take up those who would be coming out from their secondary schools and so on and so forth? And then quality of teaching. I think parents are so much concerned about the quality that they are getting for their awards through this free SHS policy. So a number of things.
Mr. Brahima, thank you very much. I'll ask that you stay with us just a moment. I'll come back to Mr. Tanko in studio to ask him specifically, what do you expect to hear? Leaving off of what Mr. Brahima said. So what are the areas? What are the questions?
Yeah, so if you remember last year, the president in his encounter, when he made that preamble, he said that the 2019 budget was going to focus on 6 strategic pillars: entrepreneurship, infrastructure, industrialization, social intervention, agricultural modernization, and improving efficiency in revenue mobilization. And these are things that he had given us that benchmark, and we know what had gone on. So I expect journalists, as Sule said, I expect journalists to look at these issues, because issues about the economy, health, and education, you can't run away from those issues, because almost everything takes its strength or oxygen from these 3 core areas. So I expect journalists especially to look at some of these issues. I mean, you talked about issues about education. Yes, the free SHS has been there. We've had running commentaries and discussions about the merits and demerits of it, but we have seen it now rolling out. And as it is rolling out, we have seen the positives, and certainly there has been some negatives. And those negatives are things we need to look at and see what are the commitments from the president's perspective and how we're going to take that forward. When you look at issues about health, I remember last year the president talked about this issue about delivery of the drones and all those things, right? So we need to look at what really has it brought in compared to the resources that we invested into that. And then there is a worry that health and cash and carry is gradually creeping into our system. And that is a very worrying trend, because we thought we have said no, bye-bye to it. And if that is the case, this is something that the president would have to address head on. If it is coming in, what are we going to do to prevent it from coming in? And if there is nothing we can do to prevent it from coming in, how are we going to mitigate the effect of the cash and carry on the ordinary people? This is something that we need to look at. And then I think that when it comes to the economy, we have a challenge in the economy in terms of economic and financial reporting. Now, luckily, there had been some effort by some partners to tool up the capacity of journalists in this area. So I expect that when we are asking the questions, we're not going to be asking the questions in that technical format where we're going to get technical responses. We're going to ask the questions in a way that the ordinary person can relate to and all this. So for me, I think health, economy, and education is key. And certainly, I think that one thing that I would be expecting people to ask the president is about the rolling out of the right to information law, which is going to start implementation next month, basically. And what are we doing? What are the awareness creation that we are doing? And all. I think I want people to ask the president questions.
Very interesting thoughts there. Thank you very much, Mr. Tanko. Now, to Mr. Brima now, you've talked about the issues you expect journalists to address. What about the answers the president should give? A lot has been said about how the president spoke a lot during the last meeting. Not much opportunity was given for journalists to ask questions. But in terms of him addressing the issues on the hearts of Ghanaians, what's your expectation?
Well, I think the president is a good speaker, and I believe that is one of his strengths. And of course, I cannot decide for the president or his handlers how he should address the questions that will be asked. What is important for me is, well, if the president happens not to answer a particular question, there could be the opportunity for somebody to pick that up again. In as much as there wouldn't be the opportunity for follow-ups, I think that is what journalists should also look out for. Because, I mean, the president is a politician. Politicians can always be smart. If he's not comfortable with a particular question, what he would do is perhaps to go around it. And if that should happen, colleagues who have the opportunity to ask questions later should endeavor to follow up or to ask the same questions so that we get appropriate responses to that. But otherwise, as I said, I think the president has always been a great speaker, and I look forward to he being able to address a lot of the critical issues that confront our people. I talked about some areas, and I think that the other area is corruption. That, for me, is central to everything, whether our education, health, infrastructure issues will be addressed or not. A lot depends on how judiciously we utilize our resources. I think the office of the special prosecutor has been a disappointment to many, and I believe that a question to the president, the special prosecutor himself has tried on a number of occasions when he's written to absolve the president of any blame. But I think that if the president truly and honestly wants the office of the special prosecutor to work as we all envisage it to, that can be done. And it's important that we take the president's thoughts on his own assessment of the office of the special prosecutor's performance and whether or not the expectations he has in terms of the officer's contribution to the fight against corruption has been met. So in terms of his responses, I think the president will be up to it, and we look forward to an interesting conversation.
Thank you very much, Suleiman Abraham, for joining us this morning on the AM show. Thank you. Suleiman Abraham is Executive Director for the Media Foundation for West Africa. Let me take the final words here from Mr. Tanko, who is a lawyer and a lecturer at GIJ. So, I mean, if your students were going out to ask the president questions, what would you tell them?
Well, be yourself, be confident. I mean, because the atmosphere can be very intimidating. You know, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. When you go in there, they usher you in, the president comes in. It can be very intimidating, but you are the professional. You know what you are there to do. Ask specific questions, questions that are relevant, questions that people can relate to. And for the president, I think that by and large, we're realizing that people like honesty and in leadership. So, and for me, I think that when you are asked a question and you don't have all the answers, nobody expects you to provide all the answers, because now the ability to do the fact checking is there. So if you provide an answer that is inaccurate, you then end up, whatever the beautiful things that you have said get buried by that infactual answer that you've given. If you're not too comfortable with something, there's nothing wrong with saying, well, I'll get my ministers to check this and get back to you on that. But I think this is a very good thing. It enhances our democracy, but the issue of corruption would never go away. This is something that I think, if I don't hear any questions about corruption and what the president is going to do about it, I think I'll be disappointed. And certainly, this office of the special prosecutor, it has not lived up to the expectation. We want to hear from the president whether he is impressed of the progress so far, and if it's not, what is he going to do to change course? Very important.
Zakaria Musah, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I'm going to wrap up with Kweku Boateng, who is a lecturer at NAFTI. He's with us via Skype. Mr. Boateng, your final words in this matter. What's your expectation?
Opportunity to say that I'm conducting a survey of journalists about health reporting. It's out there on WhatsApp, so I'm urging all journalists to not ignore it, to take it. So I think that one very critical issue is security, which should be an issue that should engage our attention. One issue I would like to address. Last year, there was kind of trying to be more representative by bringing journalists from all the regions. And the question has been whether it's relevant or not. Well, I don't know whether that format is going to continue, but my take on that is when we have structured our media space merely to concentrate issues in Accra. A lot of these stations in the regions take feeds from Accra, the news and everything. And again, here we are meeting the president, not assemblyman, not an MP. The question we are asking are not necessarily questions about Kumasi or Takrady. They are questions about Ghana. Issues of education affect everybody. Security. Kumasi is not more secure than Accra is. You understand? Issues of health, corruption. These are the issues we are supposed to be pushed, and not necessarily like everybody's coming to push their own agenda. We need to come and push Kumasi agenda. We need to come and put Sunya agenda. And this is the president's plan. And the issues we are asking, the issues, top-range issues that affect almost everybody in this country.
Thank you very much, Kweku Boateng, for joining us. He's a lecturer at NAFTI. Zakaria Musah is a lecturer at GIJ. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good to see you. Have a nice day.
Good to see you too. Have a nice day. We're going to take a few of your comments from social media before we wrap up finally, and I have some here on my big screen. I'm going to put that on we're going to put that on your screen very shortly. President Akufo-Addo will later have an encounter with the media. What questions do you want journalists to ask the president? Anthony Anandari said, when will the 2017 batch of nurses get their financial clearance and permanent employment? Very specific. I'm sure Kweku Woche would really love that question. Del Fran says, you journalists will be behind the console making noise every day. When you meet the president, you'll be shivering like you have rigor. You can't ask questions. Del, interesting thoughts there. Ali Zampaligwe says he should be very careful with the decision of compiling a new voters register, because that alone can cause a serious problem in the country and to himself. There are lots of countries that got their share of crises emanating from the registration of voters, which led to the referral of some African leaders to the ICC. He should be seen putting the interests of Ghana first, not his party. Edwin Kojo Adai says they even said he will never ascend the throne. Okay, anyway, that's not really a question, is it? Kweku Pusha Martin says, he said on UTV that Ghana is not a poor country and we sit on money, but because of bad governance, we are hungry. 3 years after he came to power, we are still hungry. Is it because of bad governance? Or he can explain. Thank you. David Akubil says, what is his current view on Ghana having a well thought through national development plan to which all governments should be bound? Kobega Samuel, the documented, says, what are his 125 ministers doing, especially Minister of Sanitation and Minister for Zongo? Gertrude Amma says, emergency room care. Why nobody survives in the emergency room? You can go with diabetes issues, stomach problems, heart attack. They all die. Why? The namesake of my panelist in studio, Zakaria Musah. What are they doing about the high cost of fuel and cement in recent times, and what strategies are put in place to resolve the cedi depreciation against the dollar? Also, why can't they stick to the manifesto? How is governance seen in opposition and when in power? The last one, if he intends advising Dr. Baumia to the numerous lives. I don't know what that means. Francis Kennedy Oklu. Okay, I have a few of your Francis Kennedy Oklu, interesting one. It's not a question there, but you think the president will lose the next election. Why is Mr. Osafo still in office? I'm going to go to WhatsApp now. Good morning, John Kennedy is my name. I'm from Sokode. May I know from the president why Ghana is not meeting her revenue targets and why our ports are still being patronized like before? I want to know, okay, this is also about the 2017-2018 batch of trained nurses. My concern is about education. In this era, pupils still trek to other places to access education, whilst others study under trees. Yes, we have enough money for free SHS. He should please tell us what he's doing about the problem. He said on UTV that Ghana is not a poor country. Okay, you've read this on Facebook. I want to ask the president that teachers posted in 2016 September but were not paid salaries. When are those salary arrears going to be paid to us? Government claims that it has been paying arrears from 2012 to 2016. When is it going to get to our turn? I want to know exactly the current status of agriculture colleges in Ghana, because since the president restored the allowance for the other colleges without any concerns about the agriculture colleges, and also not directly posting for students, no direct posting for students in Animal Health and Production College, the only veterinary college in Ghana and West Africa as a whole. Right, it's still live on the AM show. Thank you very much for joining us for this conversation about the president's media encounter.